Chiefs get the W that you've all been looking for, and it happened to be with Kadarius Toney stepping up, making plays.
You're frozen on my screen.
I'm still alive as far as I can tell, so we are going to keep rolling. Hope you guys are joining us here. Dan's going to catch up in just a second. I think that this was a ball game that you want to get into. This is what it comes down to. Mahomes wasn't going to be denied. He played a tighter game. They ran the ball more. They got Kadarius Toney involved when the headhunting was out there by the Jaguars. And the Chiefs withstood every punch they got, and they gave it back to him in droves. This was a team win. We're going to talk about all the details. I have tons of takeaways. Dan is here as well. Welcome to RGR Football. Dan, I think you're caught up. How are you feeling about this ball game?
Oh, I'm feeling okay about it. I think that there were some. I wish Mahomes wouldn't have thrown that pick. That was it. Like, he knew, he saw, and honestly, I wouldn't have cared so much if it didn't go to Cisco. I would not have cared so much because that dude didn't deserve to get a pick for the game that he played. He should have been kicked out long before he had an opportunity to do that. But, you know, these right here, we're going to start off with a little bit of a promotion. You guys know Jaden. He's in the chat a lot. We're going to go ahead and show off the jerseys. These are nice. And this one kind of hits the spot for me. And I'm going to kind of mention off that it's over. That this is probably the last time and the only time I'll get to wear the Clyde Edwards-Helaire jersey because I think that his time in Kansas City is over.
Well, hey, we'll see what happens in the offseason. I tend to agree with you. This was a precarious game for me because I love to see what Pacheco did.
Yeah.
I was surprised. Final snap counts came out. Pacheco 35, McKinnon 23, CH just 4 snaps.
Yep.
Got targeted twice and couldn't come up with either of them. I honestly felt like the way he was moving didn't look quite normal to me. So I think that this was a start for Pacheco based on performance. I think the total lack of volume for CH might have been based on something else, either physicality or just not being in the groove, one or the other. But long story short, you're probably right coming off season. Now, Pacheco, I thought, ran great, ran hard, even though they pulled a couple of like inside traps for him, gave him some inside zone that wasn't exactly like we've talked about in last week's, the best way for this O-line to run, but he ran hard and he got the clips when he needed them. Ended up 5.1 per carry. And a lot of that was on him. How do you feel about Pacheco overall?
Yeah, this is what I was excited to see. Because if you're going to go with a guy, you're going to go with the starter, you need to get him touches. You can't just say, you're going to be the starter, we're going to give you 5, 6, and then you kind of have to go off that. You're not doing enough to get him in a groove because he needs volume. He is a volume runner. He's not a guy who you can get into space like a Travis Etienne, and he's going to be able to pay off that, or a DeAndre Swift. They can kind of make efficient plays. I think Pacheco, specifically because of his vision issues, he needs a little bit more work to continue. He grinded out a little bit better. He missed what probably would have been a touchdown where he cut back inside left instead of cutting back right into that linebacker. And I'm just like, that's the stuff right there that the Chiefs are missing from their running backs. But again, ran hard. He was confident. I think that the best thing you could do after that fumble, what we have seen Andy Reid do time and time again, is go right back to him, and he showed why they should have. And I think that he played a really, really good game. McKinnon had a really nice game too. Those two might just be what we see. Pacheco, the early down grinder, get him into the end of the game. McKinnon just kills everyone paper cuts. He catches everything. He converts third downs. It doesn't really matter. So those two might just be it. And I'm hurting. I'm hurting a little bit. I'm a little upset right now, guys.
It's all right.
I'm upset. I hope you're right.
Well, to have a run game, Tyler, you pointed out exactly that lengthens everything that you can do. You saw them actually be able to run out the clock and control it late. Yeah. I mean, that's and kudos to my guy, Chad Muma. You guys heard me talk a lot about him in the offseason. He was the guy right there on Travis at the end for that last first down.
Yep.
Had the coverage. He was there.
Travis too good.
Yeah.
Travis too good, man.
Like we talked about in the pregame, Hall of Fame tight end. It's a little tough. I was surprised. One of my big notes is they chose that. I think what I saw was 3 snaps that Lloyd was either the primary zone defender where Travis was running, or I think I saw 1 man snap, and then they said, screw it. We're going with Olakon, and then later to Muma in man on Kels. I was a little bit surprised they went away from it that early, but like we said in the pregame show, as well as the shorts, if you guys aren't digging the shorts, let us know because there's a ton of information we're putting out in the shorts. I think that was really the key. They wanted to slow him down. Obviously, the double team led to that touchdown late in the corner. It was a concept they ran all day, and I thought Roman did a great job pointing it out, but it all comes down to still having not an answer for Travis Kelce.
Yeah, you don't. And there's no one that does. And even like you said, when they're not using him specifically as a guy that they're throwing the ball to, they're using him to get everybody else open. And this was a game that they had that tested without Juju Smith-Schuster, who hopefully is okay, sustaining, in concussion protocol. Hopefully nothing serious. You saw him clenching his hands like that. It's not a good sign. But we have seen, Tua Tagovailoa have that same type of reaction, and he is now playing at a high level. So you hope that Juju's okay. But I had to have other guys step up and use Travis Kelce as a way to open up a lot of different players, and they did that. And that's exactly how, we talked a little bit about before this game, is using MVS's speed in different ways to his best advantage. And I really think that he made probably the catch of the season for Kansas City. That was an incredible one-handed catch where he flipped around and caught it. Obviously, he had a catch that was then taken away because Andre Cisco once again was launching himself near the head area of players that he would have had he not been, ruck free for that. So just a really nice job scheming, but also understanding that Travis Kelce doesn't ever need to be schemed. He's a quarterback on the field, and he knows you can call anything. And all of the different things they have built into his route tree, he can read it, he can react. And you saw a really good, like you said, a really good breakdown from Tony Romo talking about understanding leverage. Travis Kelce understands leverage better than any player in the NFL, and it's not close. He's just that good.
The big thing for me, back to Cisco, yes, he should have been thrown out. That was a helmet to helmet. He's going to get fined to bejesus, but that doesn't fix the point that the guy who's been the best wide receiver for this team in the last month is now hurt. I don't expect him to play next week. That was a significant concussion. Getting out of the protocol in a week's time is going to be difficult. Good for MVS. I thought Toney caught a little bit of MVS-ism. Had two great catches and then dropped an easy one. But I know you guys want to hear about Toney. We are going to get to it. I've been looking around because I'm trying to watch the end of the Bills game here.
Yeah.
As
looks
you guys
like
are all telling
won.
us. They did win it? Okay, I didn't realize it was over. I'm not able to tune it as fast as I want to because I'm not paying enough attention. Big Chief Sean, very good point. And folks, go sub to Sean's channel because you want to see him and everything he has going on. You can see him here sometimes as well. Chris Jones, again, got that sack from the end position today, was a disruptor as always. But I felt like for the first time in a long time, he had a lot more help than I felt like he's had.
There you go, Avery.
You gotta love it when Avery comes on. The help is what meant. I thought Karlaftis had a great day with push and with hustle. Made a play on the sidelines he was there for. Got the batted pass. He had one snap, and I even wrote down the time frame because I'm going to go break that down again. You guys make sure we'll have a ton of breakdowns this week. He timed a snap up so well that if the ball had not been immediately out the other direction, I think he could have gotten home and actually gotten the job done. Thought he played great. I thought Leo Chanel came out and played all over the place. This was the game I expected him to have last week against a rushing team.
I agree. And he's starting to gain confidence. They're using him as a pass rusher. Finally, like we've been asking for, I'm probably going to go ahead and do what I've done with Trent McDuffie and Karlaftis snaps and do Leo Chanel this week. I think that he's done a really good job of impacting the run defense, and now he's being used as a pass rusher. They are really, honestly, I'm excited to see Frank Clark back in the fold next week. How is that for a turntables, guys? That's what I'm talking about. This defensive line starting to get after it a little bit. The Jags front, offensive line's not everything it's been up to be. But again, they had 6 sacks in this game. That's what they need to do. You're going to get leads in games like this. You have to be able to start getting after the quarterback, and they've done that, mixing up their blitz coverages, but blitz looks and everything like that. So they've done a great job, and Leo should have some well-deserved recognition after this week, finally getting more comfortable in the NFL. And that's
5 sacks. Yep. Cheers, Jaden. Thanks for the support. This is a Jaden jersey you can get over at Jaden's channel as well.
Yes, sir.
Follow him, and thanks for the support, Jaden, as always. Want to give you a shout out. 5 sacks on the day. The interesting thing to me is McDuffie, Bolton, Josh Williams, Karlaftis. Everybody had PBUs and TFLs. Tackles for loss set up 3rd and long, which allow you to play what you want to play. So like, I think that's one thing that I probably don't talk about enough is the effect of a TFL on 1st or 2nd down, what it does for you. And that's a tackle for loss, folks. Who I don't mean to talk in gibberish. Once you get a negative play on a given drive, it is very difficult for teams other than the Kansas City Chiefs to overcome that. Nobody is the Chiefs on 3rd down, but I'm counting them up here, and I've got 7 TFLs on the day. That goes a long way in setting up your defense. I thought this looked like probably the best all-around team defense we've seen in a very long time. And that comes from all the rookies, especially the corners. I just want to toot our horn from last week. For all of you who say I don't do that enough, okay, well, I know there's none of you, but I'll do it anyway. Trent McDuffie is the real deal. We put it out last week.
He is him.
Yeah, we put it out last week, and he lived up to it today. Yes, he finally allowed a pass. Okay. 1 reception I'll take for him. I think 2, actually. But he had multiple PBUs, 2 PBUs, and a TFL on the day. He's producing big plays in the negative for the opposition, and that's what you want from him. Sticky, coming up against the run. He looks just exactly what I hoped he would become, and he's played 3 ball games.
Oh, man, Bills lose. The Bills just lost.
Did they just lose?
They just lost. Oh my gosh. Okay. So now we got to talk about it a little bit. Since we're seeing it, we have to. Hey, guess what? It doesn't matter that they lost to the Bills, guys. It doesn't matter.
Not no mo. Wow. Okay. So
it does not matter.
We'll break that down in a second. I just want to see the officialing and get a quick look at standings in a second. But that said, I thought Joshua Williams played really well today and gave you good reps. I thought he came up well. I thought Jalen Watson was pretty quiet, but I felt like he was there a little bit. Kirk got away from Snead more than anybody.
Yeah.
And that was the primary matchup that we thought going into the day was going to be trouble.
Yeah. I actually think it's funny. We saw early Jalen Watson be the guy. Like, he got the snaps early. He got comfortable. We are starting to see, in my opinion, Josh Williams get comfortable. The talent for him was always there. And I think that's why they took him in the 4th round. Obviously, talent out of Fayetteville State, but coming from Fayetteville State into the NFL, the jump is astronomical. Talent was always there, but they're asking him to play more his style, play man coverage, play Marivn Jones one-on-one. He's not going to beat you over the top, so be physical. They're letting him do that, and I think we're seeing him start to edge out Jalen Watson in that regard because they are playing more man coverage in some of the situations. They're blitzing more, and they're letting him be his best self, which I think is best for the entire defense. That with Snead getting beat today by, I don't want everyone to understand, we made fun of the contract from Kirk in the offseason.
Yeah.
He's an excellent slot receiver. Like, he is excellent, and they did a really good job of scheming him open. They have built an offense around him, and they've done a really good job of doing that. When you pair a guy who's as good as he is out of the slot with Zay Jones and Marivn Jones, who are just outside ball winners, I think that's kind of what we're seeing, that they did a good job scheming him up. So I'm really happy with the return we're getting out of 3 rookie corners. Repeat that in your head. 3 rookie corners, and this defense is holding up, and it's getting better, as we always see Spags defenses do this time of year.
Over and over and over. KL, I know, folks, if you want to join the Discord, jump in the memberships and jump over there at you can join here and you can get in. Oh, I just switched this. That's always
fancy. That's
you
weird.
You can get in the Discord at bit.ly/RGR Nation. You can get a look at it right now. And yeah, sorry, KL, we're talking Chiefs while this is happening. Trying to look over the shoulder doesn't necessarily work. But yes,
it's not
this is what it's going to boil down to. The Chiefs are going to be now ahead of, because remember, no matter what happens this season, a tie between the Chiefs and the Bills in overall record is a win for the Bills because of the head-to-head matchup. Now they are a game ahead, and they are in the spot for the number 1 seed. We talked about it at the time that, hey, maybe this isn't the end of the world. Maybe this isn't going to be the thing that turns the season for the Chiefs.
Yeah.
This is going to be something that has to continue. Chiefs have to hold par. But I thought this game, honestly, today against the Jags should have been bigger in terms of the win, right?
Yeah.
If you can do this by having balance, I think, what did Pacheco get? 18 rushes on the day?
18 for like 80, 82 or something like that.
I mean, that's all I'm asking.
16.
For those of you who think I'm crazy living in 1922, I'm not. This is what I'm asking for. Get 5+ yards of carry. Give 4.5 yards of carry and give it enough so it keeps them honest.
Their offense was essentially unstoppable.
Yeah.
Like if Mahomes doesn't throw that pick, this game, it's they might even get the touchdown. Like, we're talking about, this could be a 34-10 game. It honestly should have been a 34-10 game. So you're seeing what opening up the run game does. And I know that everyone talks about you don't need to be able to run the ball to execute play action, but you want to know what it does? We've talked about this a lot. And people want to throw it aside, specifically people who just say, and I'm with the movement that it's not necessary. It makes it so much more impactful because the linebackers then have to respect the fact that you're going to run the ball. If you don't, they can just sit and wait. Like we have seen over the past couple of years, they did a good job of sticking with the run game a little bit here and there, using Toney. You know, Mahomes still has his ability to run the ball, and Pacheco had his impact on the game, and guys were running open. Guys were open. And then when they weren't, Mahomes is like, here, just try and stop this ridiculous throw to MVS or to Toney, who goes up and catches the football on his fingertips. Like,
it's a little bit of everything. And I thought control was important today, folks. It is still winding down. Josh Allen has the ball with about 30 seconds left.
Oh, geez.
So it is not 100% over yet. I am still watching this, and I'll give you an update as
what is going on.
All kinds of superness. But for Mahomes today, we haven't even talked about him yet because there's been other things to cover. And yes, we're going to get to a Dallas Texans fan. We definitely will be there.
Yes.
Because Toney showed you pretty much everything that you needed to see. 2 questionable plays. We're going to talk about those as well. Just because we got to point them out.
It's the Toney experience. That's what he is.
Yeah, somebody's excited to be a Chief, and his name is Kadarius Toney.
Oh, yeah, baby.
But Patrick Mahomes, a couple of plays where he made some nifty runarounds outside the pocket, but he didn't press. Like, he took yards when they were there. Mm-hmm. He exploited with his legs when he had to and when he had the ability to. In the pocket, I felt he stepped up better today. There was at least 4 throws that 4 weeks ago, he would have bailed on the pocket. But he stood in there. And that's even after Wiley went out. And by the way, the only reason they didn't get that first down a whole lot earlier is because of Prince Tega Wanogho. You can only do what you can do when he's your backup, but they got it done, and that's what the bottom line is.
I'm going to shout out Prince Tega Wanogho. I think outside of that third short that he didn't let them get, it was a marginal improvement over what we've seen from Andrew Wiley in pass protection specifically. I think he was better than Andrew Wiley has been in pass protection. Did you hear anything coming from that side of the offensive line?
No, not much. No. But I didn't hear much of it at all that week. I actually have the opposite. I thought it was a downgrade. When we get the All-22, I think maybe we'll do a side-by-side and see what we come away with.
Yeah, we'll see. Obviously, my opinion will change when I get to actually hone in and specifically see. But I didn't see him getting blown up time after time, which I've seen from Andrew Wiley. So we'll get to see.
And that goes to show that Patrick standing into the pocket. Later, he got flushed out, but he still wasn't like being crazy with the ball. He tried to deliver it. The only reason that ball was intercepted is because I don't think he saw Cisco being that close. I think he underthrew it a little bit. I think it was just a weird thing. Every now and then, Patrick's going to do that. But Toney gave him options, and especially when Juju gets hurt, when MVS gets knocked out, at least for a little bit, you had to step that up. And the Jets sweep, great play. Followed his blocks well. And my big note on that particular play was this is exactly what you can expect from him. He's got the short area quickness. He's got the burst, and he's got good vision to follow his blocks. But he's not Tyreek. He's not going to just accelerate and go away. But this is what it was. Travis Kelce had an excellent block on that jet sweep.
Yeah.
And that's really what sprung it. So good for him. Great body control. The only thing that I question, I know he's a little excited to be in Kansas City. His first touchdown of career, by the way, folks. I thought that was a big milestone. I didn't realize that until the broadcast.
Yeah.
So I think that solidifies where he's at. Don't try to pick up that punt return. That makes me super nervous. I know it worked out and did get them a good chunk of yardage cushion, but that could have gone very, very wrong very, very easily. So I question that, and just don't want to see the concentration drops. Don't want to hang out with MVS too much is what I'm saying.
Yeah. If you watched the film breakdown that I did, this was something that I pointed out. Like one of the things about him is that he'll make some head scratching drops. Like that'll just hit him in the chest to let him travel a little bit too far. And again, I know he was sliding. I know the ball was going to the ground. It's an NFL catch. As a receiver, you have to make the play. You have to do that. So that's going to be a little bit of the experience, but you saw exactly why they brought him into Kansas City. He does things that the other receivers on this team don't do and haven't done since Tyreek left. Like that's just kind of what it is. And McCole Hardman's good for what he is, but he does not make guys miss like you're going to see Kadarius Toney continue to do in this offense when he's given space. Just think, again, he's going to get more involved in the offense. This is just the second game. It's game 2. It's game 2 that he's been in Kansas City.
Buffalo's lined up for the field goal, going for the tie right now.
Here we go. Are they going to go to overtime?
And they hit it. We are going to overtime, folks. So it's not over yet. It's not over yet.
So
good for the Vikings for dragging it out.
We overreacted.
Yeah, it's okay. Daniel, Colin made some plays again today. Yes, he did.
Oh, man. Colin Saunders.
And it wasn't just the sack. That was a great play. He also got to the sideline and knocked the snot out of Etienne at one point.
Oh, he did. He was that's the thing. He runs sideline to sideline for a tackle. And he never gives up on plays. Ever. He missed the tackle the first time around. Okay, fine. He keeps chasing him down. And that's why he's earning playing time. That's why he's come out and said that he is the face of the Chiefs' run defense. He has tweeted it out that he is the face of the Chiefs' run defense because he is. He absolutely is.
He has to be. And if he takes that pride, like I do notice there's more hustle this year in contract year than there was last year.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I just got to say that. But if he can play to this level, he not only will be re-signed to Kansas City, which he should be right now. He's a low-level re-sign, much like Noddy was after his first contract. It shouldn't be over-expensive, and it gives you good reps. But if he can raise his level of play to this every week, he will get higher offers. The Chiefs will have to spend more money. The need to keep him in Kansas City because he's put in the work here and he understands what he needs to do going forward. I put this a lot back on Joe Cullen, though, because getting the most out of an uptick in Colin Saunders is critical because of the Wharton injury. And that's on the coach that's leading this group. I don't think we can overrate what Cullen's made in terms of a progression here.
No, he's helped not just the defensive line, but also, in my opinion, Spags. I think he's brought some positive changes to the way that he's handled blitzing and using his NASCAR package. He's using, not just Karlaftis, but Mike Dana as a nose tackle, and it's getting creative. You're getting more one-on-ones for Chris Jones as a defensive end. Once again, he got a sack today playing as a defensive end on the outside. That's so hard for offensive lines to figure out. He is not just a defensive tackle. He moves like a defensive end, and he can just push you off. It doesn't matter. He's so good. So I really love what they've done.
And he, more so than any other tackle, including Chris Jones, they dropped him into coverage on a replacement blitz late in the game, and he looked natural at it. This is the big thing, is that opens up all kinds of zone blitzing that you can do because you have a tackle that can move. And I mean, we all know that he's played linebacker for this team before. That just gives you an inkling of what can come. If they can unlock him, if he can really take a step forward from this point of progression, he can go anywhere.
Yep. And I want to just point out to you guys that we overreacted earlier because of the chat. So I'm just going to give you guys the L on that one because you set us up for failure. We were talking about the Bills already while losing that game, and then we're sitting here looking like fools like 5 minutes later. So just there. Just
no L needed. It took me a while to tune it is the problem. And by the way, we could still get the same outcome. It ain't over yet. So you guys, I know you have one eye on that. So do we. I really want to get your thoughts in. And by the way, you guys, like and sub. Help us out here on RGR. We do this for you all week long, all the time, all of our crew. We have a ton of everybody contributing, and a lot of guys are in here tonight. Shout out to FLDB, to Big Chief Sean. I know that Aaron was in here earlier. You guys are knocking it out of the park. Talk to me about Butker while I fix my light.
I think that Butker is still hurt. I think that he even talked a little bit about it this week. So and honestly, it's a pretty nice thing they didn't have to worry about him picking field goals in a close game, because I do think that he's not yet 100%. So we're going to see him probably make a few problems here. He had a good adjustment on the win in his second to last PAT or his last PAT. I can't remember exactly which one it was, but I do think he's still hurt, and it's impacting his level of accuracy and unpredictableness, because typically we see the errant misses once every three to four games, typically throughout his career. This one, they're happening every single game. So that tells me he's still hurt and he's still not comfortable on his plant leg. That's the biggest thing. His plant leg's the one that got hurt. And if you don't have trust in it, you're going to come off balance. You're going to not be able to fully trust that you can actually plant and kick. It's all just throwing his motion off.
Yeah. And that's what it comes down to. For kickers, it's about confidence. It's about that placement, being able to drive off of that foot. I mean, we all know that
Yeah.
he's got a one-step 54-yarder that he can do pretty much in his sleep. So, hey, there's plenty there. Jayhawk 2226. Broadcast said the Chiefs struggle against slot receivers. The guy that can shore that up. Your best cover corner is in the slot. That's more of a schematic thing, in that if he has to play trail, or if he has to have that responsibility where he's got inside leverage and the guy goes outside, whatever, he's required, and depending on the back coverage from the safety. So it's a give and go. The problem is the slot is a scary thing because they can go anywhere. And so it is the most difficult. I don't think that it's a problem. I don't necessarily agree with the broadcast that they struggle against them. Yes, they give up yards there, but that's the way modern offenses are built, is to exploit from the slot. So I think they actually do a pretty good job. I know Snead got beat one time, I think was his fault. One time that I think was just a schematic issue that they actually were able to take advantage of. I thought Doug called a good game. I thought Lawrence executed in the second half. I thought he was a little shaky up front. But hey, that's the way that it goes. Good teams will do that. And this, honestly, despite the score, this is a pretty good team the Chiefs just beat.
Yeah, and they've been in every game they've played. The 3-6 record isn't indicative of how they have played to this point. It's more in crunch time. They're not there yet. And that's okay. Like Doug Peterson knows that. He understands that it's a young team with a young quarterback that hasn't done it in the NFL. And I think that Trevor Lawrence is growing as a player. Again, if you guys watch the Clemson offense at all this year, he played in the exact same offense. It was a bad constructed offense with a lot of RPOs, a lot of one read, a lot of half field reads, and a lot of get the ball out quickly. In the NFL, you don't have all of these things. Players are faster. The coverage is closer. You also saw some incredible throws from Trevor Lawrence in this game against good coverage, right there coverage. Like we're talking next level throws to guys like Trent McDuffie's catch that he gave up on the sideline. He was right there. The ball is just where it needs to be. So, I mean, they did a really good job. They're a good team. They're going to be a good team if Doug continues what he's doing. He is building something there. So, again, don't sneeze at, and again, this could have been closer. 2 missed field goals. The game could have been closer. They just, in crunch time, the Jaguars don't have that finishing mentality yet. They don't know how. The Chiefs been there, done that. This kind of stuff is not new for them. And playing an Arrowhead for the first time has to be exhilarating. So I can imagine that Trevor Lawrence is feeling a bit of that in this game.
I have to think so too. And a guy that I used to coach with 1,000 years ago, quarterback coach, he always had this saying, and I try not to drop coach speak too often, but in this particular game and that play in particular, it's absolutely correct. And he used to always tell his quarterbacks, perfect ball placement beats perfect coverage every time. And that's exactly correct. When you put it the only place it can go and complete, there's nothing you can do about it as a DB.
Nope. It's so good.
It's pretty to see. I'll give him that. And for those that are saying, hey, that Lawrence isn't all that, I'll still take him over Fields right now. You put him with a coach that can use his talents. I don't know.
I mean,
as a passer.
Yeah, as a passer, I think you're right. But in terms of putting a quarterback in an offense, I'm probably taking Justin Fields.
I don't know. I gotta feel like it's a flash in the pan. I don't know if it's going to be sustainable.
We'll see. I think Luke Getsy's done a really good job of finally adjusting the offense and saying, hey, look, we have this really skilled athlete. We have an athlete who's
only
learning.
Took 7 weeks.
Only.
For them to adjust.
Right? Like, we have a really good athlete. So let's get him in space a little more. Again, he ran over 150 yards again in this game. They're using him right, and they don't have the pieces offensively to make a huge passing attack built off of it. But when they do, I think they're going to be a pretty dangerous offense.
Yeah. Adam, great question. Are you worried about them not getting turnovers, or do you think that they're coming? I think you're seeing this whole defense kind of rise, and I do think they will come. I don't know what happened in this ball game on the special teams that gave the ball away so much, but I do think that makes it harder for the defense to be in position to do some of that because they're constantly on their heels. They're constantly coming back out when they didn't expect to. Like, I think that makes things a little bit difficult, but when you look at the volume of negative plays in this ballgame and the number of defended passes, PBUs are what stops drives, and they're coming up on that.
Yeah.
With 3 rookies playing corner. I think there's more ahead, and I'm not worried about it.
I'm not worried about the turnovers either, because I think what the biggest thing is that teams are not trying to actively challenge the corners in third and long situations. You see turnovers come in those longer situations, second and long, third and long, and now you're seeing the sacks come because they could have kind of just thrown the ball up a couple times on these third and long, second and long situations, and Trevor Lawrence didn't do that. And I think you're seeing that become an effective part of what the Chiefs are building on the back end and how they're starting to get some pressure. We'll see some of those quarterbacks that want to do that want to get loose with the football, but I think they're trying to train Trevor out of that. He did a good job in this game, taking sacks if he had to, maybe not always taking a sack if he needed to, but not forcing the football. And you see quarterbacks against this team, they don't force it too much. They don't look like they force it too much. They take advantage of the one-on-ones on the outside that they get, or they go to a guy that's open. But this team is typically try to not let you in the end zone, and they're really trying to get more sacks and not so much interceptions, what I've seen in my opinion.
Agreed. How pleased are you with Noah Gray, what you're seeing from him?
This is something you guys, if you live in the Kansas City area, I was on radio with Sterling Holmes again on Tuesday night, and this is something we talked specifically about. Sterling is a little more of a fan of Noah Gray, which is fine. And the question posited was, do you think he could be the next great pass catching tight end? I don't know. I don't think that Noah Gray is going to be this Travis Kelce like next in line kind of guy. But what we're seeing is that he is competent. He is in the right spot. Patrick Mahomes is gaining trust in him. That is the big thing you take away from this whole thing, that he's becoming a part of this offense, a fluid part of the offense. He's getting more comfortable in his own, where he's supposed to be. He's blocking a bit more. You saw a really nice job that he did letting Patrick Mahomes come back inside on one of those where he blocked the defensive end. He's just leading him out to the right and then letting Patrick come back to his left. And that's what you need. Be able to be on the field. Don't be a liability in pass protection or run blocking, and be able to know where you are on the field. He's doing all of those right now, and the trust is there from Patrick Mahomes. So I'm pretty pleased with what he's done in terms of not just generating anything out of being, a drafted tight end on day 3, which doesn't always happen. He's becoming, a functional part of the offense, and that's all you can ask for.
Yeah, that he is living up to the expectations that I had coming in. Yeah. If he exceeds that, great. But right now, I think he's hitting it steady. Mm-hmm. Rob, do you guys think Cisco should have been ejected after
Absolutely.
I think it was helmet to helmet. I think the flag should have stayed, and I think he should have been thrown out.
Absolutely.
And I'm one of the few that actually like Cisco as a player, because if you flip it and he doesn't, headhunt and he's just making the hits, I like him if he's in the Chiefs backfield. You know what I mean? Like, I like what he brings. He's not a very good man cover corner guy. He's a safety.
I was about to say, I see Brian Cook being very similar to the play style of Andre Cisco, and that's kind of what we're hoping him to turn into in his next year in the NFL. He's going to play more next year. But again, that's kind of the guy you need. I hate the hit, but he was, in my opinion, he was clearly headhunting. Talent's there. He's just got to hone it better. And that was just a poor reading of the rule by the referees in the situation. You have to know that it's a poor interpretation, because not only is it a hit to the head, he's a defensive receiver. He caught it and is looking to turn. It's definition of a defensive receiver, the same as MVS, who's up in the air and he's got someone coming at him. It doesn't matter if it's in the shoulder, underneath, or closer to here. He's a defensive receiver. He can't protect himself. That's what the problem is.
I agree. And I do think that should have resulted in loss. And I will say this is part of the bigger effort that I think later in the game, maybe the last drive of the first half, but certainly in the second half, that the Jaguars attempted to turn up the volume on everything physical. They thought that they could take what most guys around the league see the Chiefs as a finesse team. And they felt like if they upped the physicality, they could get under their skin and beat it. And sometimes that does happen. Chiefs do get rattled at times if they're not prepared for it, but they rose to the occasion this time and didn't get bothered by that. I think Ulakon in particular tried to do that with Travis, and he just shook it off.
It was not having it.
But the thing that we were worried about pre-game in our game plan, folks, and that comes out on Fridays. If you want to see what the game's going to come down to, we usually tell you on Friday. We don't always hit it. We were worried about contact and how drained is Travis going to get. I thought they did a good job of not. I want to say he only, just by early stats, I don't think he ran, but 80% of routes. So that's good. Like, give him a little bit of a break. No Gray plays into that, right? But I also don't think that he got physically as beat up as he has in weeks past. Am I wrong?
No, it looked like they moved around a little bit. They weren't as physical as the Titans were. No, there aren't many teams out there that can be as physical as the Tennessee Titans can be. And again, bad matchup. they do a really good job of exploiting some of the weaknesses in Kansas City. It helps when you have the best run defense in the NFL. Like they do. They just have the best run defense in the NFL, and the Chiefs couldn't combat their physicality with a run game. But you saw the Jacksonville Jaguars, like you said, try to do some of that, and the Chiefs combated it with the run game. When you can impose your will with an offensive line, this is something Ryan and I talked about 2 weeks ago. When you have an offensive line that can run the ball and that is dominant in that fashion, can get guys moving up front, you start to impose your will on a defense, and that sets a tone for your entire offense. The offensive line gets confident. The running backs, Isiah, in my opinion, he ran harder than he ever did in any game because the offensive line was there for him too. They were pushing, so he's grinding out yards. He's making guys pay, and I think that this is such. Oh my goodness, sorry. Just Justin Jefferson, but this is the kind of thing you have to see from this offensive line to continue to establish a run game to get mindset, because teams are going to continue to try to play physically against this team. You have to combat it some way, and this is how you can do that.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And Tatum, thanks for the shout out, folks. I know there's super chats coming. We're going to get to them here in a second. If you guys want to support the channel, that's the easiest way to do it. Or you can grab some Kingdom gear. I got some of it on today. You can grab the jersey from Jalen side of TPT Chiefs Football Podcast.
Jaden.
Look for this name from Jaden, one of our longtime fans. We appreciate you, Jaden.
They're so nice.
Looks like Big Red tied Marty with 66 wins in Arrowhead. Thanks, Chris. I didn't know that yet. That's awesome.
He did, yeah.
I like to see that moving along. Chris had another one. Chris Jones is... I mean, I would love to be in the locker room today to ask the Jags offensive lineman just what they think he is, because I think this season, I think he surpassed Aaron Donald.
He's playing better than Aaron Donald. There's no question. He's the best defensive tackle in football, in my opinion. Aaron Donald's still Aaron Donald. Chris Jones is almost unblockable.
Yeah,
almost unblockable. I mean,
certainly when we're talking pass rush downs, I think Donald he has a little more anchor. I still think he has more power against the run.
I agree.
As a fully rounded, I'd put him right there head to head. But in pass rush, Chris has surpassed him, and it's really not that close in my opinion, at least from the last 5 weeks that I've watched pass rushes.
I would say it's close because I will never ever besmirch the name of Aaron Donald. And also the demoralization of that team has got to be impacting his production. So you can only do so much with a team that's bad, and the Rams are terrible.
They're
terrible.
Where I had to drop
Aaron Robinson.
I had to drop him in fantasy, and I rarely do that.
He's unplayable.
He is. It's bad. And if you guys want to know more, Dan covers all kinds of fantasy with astronauts, so make sure you follow him at In Harm's Way 19. Let me take this away. That's his Twitter handle right there. For as long as Twitter's alive, go follow Dan, because that's how you get your fantasy info. Burnett, great question. And does the young secondary players seem to be covering better than Thornhill or Snead right now? I was disappointed with Juan on one man rep today, but I felt he was there the rest of the day. I'll have to see the 22 before I can actually determine that. I feel like Snead is doing everything asked of. Even the broadcast is telling you he's one of the best nickels in the league. The difference is all the young corners have the boundary as their friend, and that helps them because you can play against the sideline.
Yeah.
And so I don't think it's an honest comparison.
You're also seeing that, especially the last two games, where they've played receivers that aren't very good at separating. They really just more stretch them vertically down the field, and then they did a good job of using Zay Jones underneath, but he's not a good separator. Neither is Marivn Jones. Titans don't have receivers that can play in the NFL, in my opinion, outside of Robert Woods as a 3. But you're going to see them play against better wide receivers, but they're doing, again, their good job. They have help, and that's why you're seeing Snead get beaten, is because he is a space protector. And when you can exploit space, you can get those one-on-ones. He's got a lot of space that he has to cover. And when you can scheme open the slot receiver, it makes his job that much harder. So he did get in my opinion, he got abused in this game, but that's because they identified the space defender and they just ran routes at him. And again, he had some good plays. He had some bad plays, but that's going to happen. You're not going to be great every single game. Like, there's very few players in the NFL that can have a 17, 18 game season where they're just always the best on the field. And I think the Snead just had a little bit of a down game, and that's okay.
Yeah, we can live with that. He's a third-year player. For anyone saying he's not Tyron, he's not Chris Harris. No, he's not.
Nope.
Because those guys played 10 plus years. He's a third-year player. We got to remember that. And he is the best on this roster. Doesn't mean he's the best in the league, but he is getting there. And I think he's got more upside to go. Alex had a great comment. Toney's already making plays. We don't need OBJ. Do you agree?
So I'm going to go ahead and say that they would very much benefit from bringing him into the fold. And I don't know if you guys can hear me or if I dropped or what's going on.
Hey, hopefully I'm back now.
Okay, there you go.
Sorry, I have no idea. Evidently, the meltdown in New York is like affecting my internet.
Okay.
So Toney's already making plays. Do we need OBJ? I generally would agree with that, except for the fact I don't know what's going to happen with Juju. So I can't say that this takes off the table. I still feel like it's a long shot, but it is still a possibility in my mind. Do you agree or no?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a possibility. And again, if you have injuries with Mecole Hardman, you're having injuries now with Juju. You hope he's okay. You don't really know. And also, you don't forget that MVS, while he played the rest of the game, he still got hurt at one point, and he's taken some hits. So at the very least, are you confident with the Kadarius, Toney, Justin Watson, and Sky Moore 1, 2, 3 in a game if you need it? Probably not. and you adding OBJ if he's healthy and he can play and do what he does, it's just making you better. So I don't think it's ever a bad thing if he wants to come play in Kansas City that you say no to that.
And I'll say this too. Every week that goes by, OBJ gets cheaper because you're only paying game checks. I don't think it's more than a 1-year contract. So you're only paying game checks for the number of games you have left. So I think it gets more feasible as time goes on. Yep. And with no deadline, you never know what could happen. He could sit out until January, to tell you the truth. He could sign with a first place team.
Yeah, absolutely
on New Year's Day and have 2 weeks to get up to speed. Who knows? Honestly, I don't put that past him at all. That could be what he's thinking. Boogie, thanks for the support. Sorry, Ryan. It's time for Burton to go. Just kidding. But in all seriousness, I need to spice up the fullback involvement. Is it too predictable? Well, that is my big takeaway. Is they've only used Mike in the same way for the last 5 or 6 weeks. When they gave him a little off tackle or they gave him a little dump pass, he was productive. But when you're just handing him inside dives over and over and over on short yardage, defense knows what's coming.
Yeah, they got to get more creative with it. They have to do a little bit more motion, use some more actual across the formation jet sweeps. Actually hand it off on one of those 3rd and shorts on a jet sweep. You'll probably get it. You have to not make it so obvious when Michael Burton comes on the field in 3rd and short that he's going to get the ball. You got to find ways to change it up a little bit. You have to.
I mean, and he gives you all those options. I think they need to run, offset eye pitches. Let him get out his lead blocker in space. Especially if it's Pacheco back there. I think the Scarlet Knight package is a thing of the future, and I think it could be really, really effective, to tell you the truth. I was a little disappointed that they didn't get outside enough in the run game as much as I wanted today.
Yeah.
Do you think it was still productive, though, enough? Or overall, it should be a positive, right?
Yeah, honestly, I think they were trying to give the offensive line confidence. When you're on to the outside, you're saying, we don't think you can block up front, so we're going to try and get our fast running back to the edge. And I think this was more of a mentality game for the Chiefs in the run game, is to say, we can establish a run game, we can establish an offensive line, and we can get a running back to average 5-6 yards a carry. And he almost essentially did in this game. So I really think it was more of a mentality game, which they can get the ball to the edge with Pacheco. So I think you're going to see that coming in, but you're also going to have some more jet sweeps with Toney and whenever Hardman gets healthy. So I'm excited to see that, because it's another area that they can exploit built off of a successful running game.
Yeah, I agree. Julia, you said it for me. Thank you.
Ridiculous.
As we're trying to watch this come down, now Josh has the ball again. They're down 3, 2 minutes left in overtime, and they're doing what they do.
They're already in field goal range, man.
Yeah, screen to Diggs is always going to work. They're on the 20 going in here, folks. So, hey, we might have counted them out a little early. I don't know. Let's see. Chris said Kelsey's 42 touchdowns from Mahomes passed Tyreek Hill. Yes, it did. I saw that as well. That's pretty cool. Tyreek had another good day in Miami, so cheers to him. And I'll tell you this: if they don't get it done in Miami, if they don't become a playoff team, if they don't get at least a run at an AFC championship, when Tyreek's contract is up, I could see him coming back. I'm just going to say it.
Honestly, I'm almost confident he will. The way he talks about this team, he loves the players. And the only difference that they had was that they were like, look, we love you, but we can't pay you $25 million.
Yeah.
We can't do it.
So go make your money. Come back when you want another ring.
I mean, honestly, when he's 30, he's still going to have that speed, guys. He's still going to be that dude. So
Dawson Knox clobbered in the end zone. Knox, a guy that is sneaky good in the end zone, but I think they're going to call that. I don't know. It looked like interference to me, but we'll see what they call. Keith, good point. I had to look it up a couple minutes ago while we were having internet difficulties. 0 penalties called on the Chiefs today. That's a great day out. That's
absurd. I didn't expect that. And again, a couple penalties that should have been called on Jacksonville that didn't get called. So that was a very clean bill of health on both sides for the Chiefs defense, not getting too handsy. I know they could have probably called some things now and then with Marivn Jones and Trent McDuffie, but he was in great position. They were both hand fighting. I think it was a really great interpretation of the rules on that part, not letting it get out of hand. And so there's that. I just really liked it.
I'm not going to blow off Ocean Caroline. I'll get to you in a second, but I do want to make it official. We were correct. The Bills have lost.
Bills lose.
It just took an extra 10 minutes for us to be right. But
there we go.
The Chiefs are now in sole possession of the first round lead as of today. They hold court, or at least they hold this lead, and they only lose. If they lose another game, as long as the Bills lose another game, they're the number 1 seed. That's where we're looking at right now today. So cheers, Chiefs Kingdom. We got it done. We were just a little bit early on the call. Sorry about that. And I'm sorry, Stuart. He's 2 minutes behind. Well, I just gave it away. So
Stuart, sorry.
Cheers, brother.
Sorry, my guy.
Apologies. But hey, now you know, and you can look super smart at the bar or wherever you're at, buddy. Chris, yes, we do feel that this is probably CH's last. Although I will say this, the Chiefs always do this. If he goes out and they allow him to go to free agency and nobody gives him a contract, they'll bring him back cheap, just like they did with DeMarcus Robinson.
Yeah, again, they only saved $900,000 by cutting him this next year. So it wouldn't surprise me if he was back. I just, when you looked at what they want to do with the run game, Clyde doesn't play a part.
Yeah.
They don't want it. But again, they went back to what he's good at this week and they use, which I don't know, man. I don't get what the Chiefs are doing. If you don't want Clyde, whatever, I understand. But you did everything in this game that he's good at.
Well, and here's the thing. From the Chiefs' perspective, as an organization, a coaching staff, and a front office, you got 3 backs you feel you can get production from. If one has a bad day or you feel you want to give somebody else the bulk of the carries, you can afford to do that right now. And I know there's a lot of you out there that want to know about Rojo. I don't have an answer for you. As far as I understand, nothing's changed, that he is just a break glass guy in case. If McKinnon hadn't dressed today, I think maybe they would have pulled him up.
I think it would have been Gallman, actually.
Yeah.
I forgot he was on the practice squad.
I know. It could have been.
He fits more of what McKinnon does, pass protection.
True.
And being a third down back. So I think it would have been Gallman. But again, you saw McKinnon out there making plays. He seems to be okay. And he's been the best. He's been the best back in Kansas City all season. He's been the best.
If you're just joining us, I see a bunch of you all coming in. The Bills did win. Glad you were able to come by after that. We are celebrating. The Chiefs are in first place for that AFC number 1 seed. Got a lot of Kadarius Toney, got a lot of the rookie secondary. We like Karlaftis today. We like Chanel a lot today. We have a lot to go over that. The guy that we haven't mentioned yet, and this is what we should keep an eye on next week because of all the injuries are certainly paramount. But the evolution continues to go on in small increments, but serious increments for Nick Bolton. Yeah. He is not only the guy that can get to the hole in the run game. He's not only the guy that can get to the sidelines on swing passes. He's now blowing up plays more often in the backfield because of his skill set, which is recognition and instinct. I think it's great because this is what they haven't had. Willie can play the off stuff. He can play backwards. Honestly, I thought Leo played sideline to sideline in terms of lateral mobility today. And Nick can just be the thunder stick that comes downhill and does what he does. I was really happy with his performance today.
And it also helps when you have defensive linemen that are keeping gaps open for your linebackers and not getting to the second level. That's his biggest issue, is that he's not great at shedding blocks. If he gets blocked up, you're seeing running backs go for 10, 11, 12 yards because that's not his thing. But when you have guys that are getting down in the trenches, they're taking doubles and they're not letting them get to the second level, he reads. He can shoot in the backfield. He can get TFLs. He can follow your running back onto the flat and make a tackle in space. That's what he's always been able to do. And now you're seeing the last 2 games where the defensive line takes an effort and takes up doubles and lets him read the running game. Like Etienne made some plays. He was largely ineffective in this game.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't even, he was largely ineffective. And a lot of that has to do with Nick Bolton making him be ineffective, and that defensive line taking a step forward as they've done the last 2 weeks in making of the run defense more of a mentality. Take it on, and that's it.
And the way that you put that, I mean, Nick Bolton is a fireman. That's what he is. For you guys in the local 948 out of my old hometown in Kansas, he's a fireman. He's one of you, because this was the hottest running back in the NFL coming into this week, and he snuffed it out. Easy peasy. And that's not just personal performance. It does take the line, of course, but it takes a whole team. And I think Nick being the tip of the spear against that screen game and run game is exactly what you wanted. They're not asking him to play 10 yards deep in coverage and cover running backs out of the backfield that way. If anything, they ask him to move laterally, which he does great. So I think they're setting themselves up to get not just good performance from him, but more and more performance from him by not asking him, putting him in bad positions. That's just the way that it goes.
It's funny how when you put your best players in good positions, then you get good return out of them.
Good stuff happens. Other than that, Ocean, Jayhawk, thank you for pointing out. If you guys would hit the like for us right now, we'd appreciate it. 500 of us in here right now as the Bills go down. The Chiefs take over first place in the AFC. I know it's been a while, but it's there. The other thing to watch, Ocean Caroline, is who takes the reps this week at practice for the wide receivers. I don't think Juju's going to recover in a week. The protocol is very, very strict. And given the severity of it and the fact they had to help him to the locker room, that tells me it's pretty significant. I don't expect him to clear protocol this week.
Did you lose me?
Stranger things have happened. Some guys recover at a better pace than others, whatever. You're froze. Oh, now you're back. Okay, cool.
Okay.
But depending on that progression, who takes those reps? That's going to be the question. Is it Justin Watson? Is it Kadarius Toney? That's going to be the question for me because I feel good about both those guys. Watson got the early look, and I didn't see them come back to him much. Let me double check. Yeah, Watson only had the one target.
Yeah.
And so I want to see what the snap counts come out to in routes run versus targets. And maybe that's a place that they can go back to the well pretty easily next week. Thoughts on Noddy from Julia? I didn't see a ton from him today that I was like overly impressed with.
Yeah, it was just kind of there. He made a couple plays in the run game, and he had actually a couple pressures on Lawrence that I remember. But again, I think we're kind of seeing, we'll see when the snap counts come out, that he's going to be losing snaps to Saunders, and rightfully so. I think Saunders is just playing better than Noddy, and he might just be a guy you have to regulate to a backup role. It's unfortunate, but you never know.
The way that I went back and watched film from 2-3 weeks ago, and the thing that I noticed is he just doesn't feel as stout in his anchor against the run. And I wonder if this is one of those things where Noddy's a tough dude. I don't think he's ever missed a ball game for injury. I wonder if he's playing through something we don't know about in his lower body that's kind of taking away from that. Because I do think on run downs, he still has the potential to be the best run defender on here, despite what Colin is saying.
Yeah.
Friendly competition against the run game for those two guys, I think is a big plus for this team. So I'll take it.
Oh, I hope so. I think it's all just like I said, if he's injured, there's nothing you can do about it. But again, if you're going to be on the field, everyone's going to ask that you give it your best and that you can play your best. And unfortunately, he's not playing his best football right now.
Yeah. Hopefully you can get back to that. I have confidence in the guy. I like him. Hang on. I got to ban somebody real quick.
Get him.
Getting all this spam. Sorry, folks. I apologize. Lord, I apologize. Yeah, that's an old joke. Sorry. I feel we need both Clyde and Pacheco playing well for where this team needs to go. You might be right on the confidence issue because Austin does think his confidence is broken. I'm not sure that it's that bad, but I do think it's taken a hit. But I do feel I agree. Like they need all three of them, in my opinion, to be always ready to go, at least knowing that they don't have to carry the load. They don't have to be an 80% of the snaps guy. And I think that helps them all stay a little bit like looser, healthier, and hopefully more explosive.
Yeah, it's like I said, I think it has something to do with confidence, but also like the Chiefs have, in my opinion, wanted speed from their running back position. And they don't necessarily care as much about the negative plays or the 2-3 yard gains if you can churn 10 or 15 yards out of a couple of your snaps. Clyde's just been unable to do that. And they've also, not used him. I don't know what's happened in the first couple games of the year. They were actively involving him in the pass game, and now it's gone. Like I know he has 2 targets in this game. One that Patrick just threw far too inside, and the other one was thrown at his feet. Like the heat didn't matter. He should have dropped it anyway. He was going to get clocked. It didn't matter. So I don't know what's going on. There's an issue with the coaching staff and Clyde, whether they're holding his draft position against him. I don't know what's going on. All I know is that they have been negligent in the way that they've used Clyde, a lot of outside zone stuff that he's not good at, and then you bring in the rookie and they're using stuff that he's actually Clyde's good at and you're not using him enough in it. So it's very confusing as to what's going on with the dynamic there, but it feels like they are looking for Isiah Pacheco and McKinnon to be the guys that make the plays for them and just kind of rotate Clyde in, and if he can make a play or two, that'd be a plus for them, but right now it's just not happening.
Yeah, I'm with you. And sorry for all the spam here, folks. I'm trying to take care of it here.
Lots and lots of spam.
Yeah, I've blocked a number of people, but it looks like the bots are going tonight, and they keep coming back. So real quick, we'll hit a couple of these. Chris, will the NFL look at Cisco and fine him? Yes, I definitely think he gets fined. I don't know about a post-game suspension. Happens. Let's see. Chris had another one. Will the NFL? I'm up there. A little slow here. Will OBJ take over for Hardman if we get him? No. They'll mix everybody in. They want to optimize every aspect of somebody can give them, but they need to give Hardman a rest. So if they were to sign him, he would take over temporarily, is my thought, while Hardman fixes that heel, because I'm still not 100% about that one. What do you think, Dan?
I don't know. I think he's been pretty good outside of everything. I think was, if not close, was fully healthy before his abdomen injury. So hopefully that heals, but now you're seeing 2 different issues not connected, an abdomen and a heel. So it might be time that he takes some plays off, because he's been pretty critical for their offense over the last month. And he's been playing the best football of his career, in my opinion. So hopefully just get him healthy, and then he can have an impact on you guys going late in the season.
Yeah, knock on wood. Thank you for the support, Brandon. Appreciate the dough.
Appreciate you, Brandon.
McDuffie did look amazing today. Like, obviously, there's going to be some drawbacks. Every beauty queen has a wart somewhere. I tell you, I love that. I love that picture they used to show of Tom Brady's ex-wife. She's gorgeous. Let's say that, but somewhere someone is tired of her crap. You know what I mean? Like, that's the way the life goes. Bandwagon Texas fan, thank you. If nothing else, like the stream for the Bills L. Hey, I'm just here to call them. We are number 1 Bills lost. Thank you, Mo. Appreciate it. Who's the backup right tackle and how did they do? It was Prince Tagovailoa who came in. I was a little surprised by that, by the way.
I was too. I thought it was going to be Christian.
Dan thought he overplayed Wiley. I felt he underplayed Wiley. We're going to take a look at the film, and we'll have a breakdown for you later in the week.
I reserve the right to change my opinion when I get the all-22.
As do I. I'm kind of a jerk up front, so if I have to soften my position, I can. How much cap room when Frank Clark gets let go next year? Well, it's the termination of his contract, so you don't actually get any cap space back. They have whatever cap space they're going to be because he's not on the books for next year. So there isn't really any relief that comes from that. Clark, good point. He was fencing. That's what the hand structure, and then it looks like a isometric like flex. Basically, it's a nervous system overload is what causes that. It could be multiple weeks. It could, Clark. I do know guys who've gotten back within like 10 days, something like that from that as well. We'll just have to see. Luckily, they have enough talent at wide receiver. They can let him take his time, and I like that.
Yeah.
Left-handed fork. Thank you for the support. Appreciate you. You know what, Dan? You're going to talk about whatever Javon's is asking about while I change my battery now because equipment's fading all day today.
Appreciate you, Javon. Thanks for the super chat. So how about the Jags with the onside kick to start the game? Talk about playing with some balls. Yeah, that was something I was unhappy about to see you guys, the Chiefs, get the football. They want the ball, and then they end up not getting the football. So that was one of the more frustrating things to see early in this game. Obviously, the defense being able to come out and stop them and get that ball back for the offense was just how it works out. So, yeah, nice ballsy play early by Doug Peterson. And then you see him kind of have not the same mentality on some of their 4th and shorts. And that was a little confusing for me. So you see him playing with fire a little bit with these 4th down calls and with these aggressive natures. But I think that all teams are going to face especially that face Kansas City, are going to be more aggressive in their play calling and the way that they call 4th downs. And the Chiefs should match that. And that's exactly what we saw them go for that 4th and 2 and get it with Travis Kelce. I absolutely loved the mentality. I think we are starting to see Patrick Mahomes wear on Andy Reid in some of the situations. He may have punted that maybe 3 or 4 years ago, but I think Andy Reid is starting to take a little bit from Patrick Mahomes, saying, look, we have this offense and this ability to get 4th and shorts or 2 yards whenever we need to. Let's do it. Let's go for the throw. And we are starting to see that go to Andy Reid a little bit. So yes, while Doug Peterson started the game being aggressive, we saw Andy Reid flip the script on him a little bit and do it in return on that 4th and short. And I loved it.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I loved it too. Bandwagon. One of the people we haven't talked about is Carlos Dunlap. He's doing exactly what is advertised to do before the season. Respect. And that's a good point. I think he's pressed early into playing this many snaps, obviously because of Frank. But this is what they wanted. They wanted a veteran pass rusher that can get it done in short spurts. And I think that's exactly what they get in him.
He's outplayed his contract already, in my opinion. He's given you more than you could have hoped for in production and playing time. You didn't expect him to be this guy who's going to play a lot of the snaps this season. I think he was almost an every down player today. He was on the field. He looks good. He's getting a lot of pocket collapsing pressures. And honestly, he's also winning on the outside a couple different times a game. That's all you could ever ask for a guy who was supposed to be a rotational pass rusher. But he's asked to be multiple times this season already. He's been asked to be an every down player. And I love that. And he's done a really great job of just being what the Chiefs need when they need him to have those impacts. So I love what he's done.
Yeah, it's a good rotation now. With Frank back, like you said, we can anticipate an uplift. We don't get to say that about Frank Clark that much. Special teams stinking up the joint. Your thoughts on Tobe and possible reasons? I think a couple of those were just larks. I didn't see the one that Jody, the short kick that he tried to return. I didn't see that one real well. Did you?
I actually was getting iced tea from my wife from Starbucks, so I did not see that at all.
Gotcha.
As soon as I left, the Jags I thought that the half was going to a half. I'm just like, okay, I'm going to go get iced tea really quickly and then come back. And they had 7 points, nearly had 10. I'm just like, maybe I shouldn't have left.
A lot of questions about this in here, and Wilder has got the same question. I would put more of it on personnel than I would scheme.
Yeah.
That's my thought.
He's playing with almost a brand new group of special teams players. Like, he doesn't have a lot of his key guys that he's had over the past couple of years. So it's a change in everything. Sky Moore, Justin Watson, Isiah Pacheco, even I think, Jody to an extent. He didn't play last year, so he's also new on special teams. It's a lot of turnover. So you're going to have some hiccups, and unfortunately, he's seeing the heat of that. But I still think that they're going to be just fine by the end of the season.
Yeah, I do too. Thanks for that one, Javon. So yeah, would you guys hit the like for us? And if you're not one of us yet, get subbed up so you see everything else that we do, because we put out content all week long. Even on Saturdays, we try to put out the shorts to just remind you the game plan for the week. We try to take care of that. So we always have something coming down the pipe for you. Trying to get creative with what that is too, because we always have ideas. So we'll have a lot of small reviews this week is my plan. So let's see how we get that, because we got to look at Toney. We've got to look at all the things that we've already talked about, and how confident that you think the Chiefs will run the rest of the games, meaning go undefeated from here on out.
Personally, I'm not super confident. Again, you saw them lay an egg against the Titans, but good defense there. So you have to kind of respect that. They're going to get all of these teams' best effort, because now they are, again, the best team in the AFC, best team in the NFL, honestly.
Right.
They're the best team in the NFL. Maybe you could say the Eagles, because they are undefeated, and I would have no arguments against that. I don't particularly think that they're better than the Chiefs. If you played them on a neutral field or even anywhere, I think the Chiefs would beat them. But I don't know that for a fact. That's just my own opinion. But I do think that they're playing the best right now in the NFL, and it's hard to say that they're not going to win.
Yeah, I mean, I'd put it at about 80%. I am really intrigued by the matchup that the Bengals still bring because I know they're not playing at their output from last year, but they had a matchup issue specific. Like there are some teams that just match up well, that they give you fits, whether it's just personality or the way guys attack in the lines, like the way a guy uses his hands, even though he might not be productive against the rest of the league. Maybe he has you on a short leash. I don't know. But if they have Jamar Chase back when it happens, it's going to be really interesting to see Chase go up against these rookies because they had Ward's number last year. And I feel like Jalen and Josh have a little bit more physicality at the catch point than Ward did. And that's where I thought Jamar Chase really made the difference last season. Let's see what happens now. The thing that I'm worried about is if they get another 5-touchdown day from Mixon, I think the Chiefs have it in them to stop him. I just don't know if they can rise to that occasion if he's on like he was last week.
Yeah, I mean, but that's the thing. That's the first time he's been on this whole season. So it's hard to know what you're going to get, what team's going to want to run the football, and what offense you're going to get from the Bengals. But they've done a pretty good job of adjusting finally. It took them, a year and a half to figure out how to create better run plays and to not just go under center and run the ball every time you go under center. So finally, good on Zach Taylor for figuring that nonsense out.
Yeah, hey. Oof. Oh, good Lord. Dan Thompson, hope you're doing well, buddy. If Niang is healthy, can he start next week, or is there a different protocol to activate him? If they say he's 100%, they can put him right onto the 53. He can start. There's no protocol to stop him from that. There's probably caution, both on Rick Burkholter's, the head trainer. Actually, he's the director of physical development and something else now. He's got a different title, but he's in charge of whether a guy's cleared, quote unquote, to play or not, or if Andy can have his guy back. I have a feeling they've shown all season and frankly over the last few years that they will take a cautious approach to that. I don't know that they'll let him play. I think it will come down to total injury situation. If he's the best guy in practice on Thursday of that week, he plays. That's pretty much the way that it comes down, because Thursday is their last real practice of every week. And if he shows it, then I think they'll take a chance.
Here's my conspiracy theory. Okay.
Ooh, I like these. Everybody lean in.
So he's got what, 14 days now? His window still has the 14 days, or is it only a week now? I forget when his practice window opened up.
I think it was last week. So I think he still got 14 days, 13 days.
Okay. They're going to take this up to the very end. And then they're going to activate him. And they're going to play this out. If the Chiefs get the number 1 seed, he will start the first game of the playoffs, but he won't play before then.
Okay. I like it.
I think that's what they're going to do.
Okay. Could be. Chargers end up 7. We don't want to be the number 2. Okay. I can see that, Brian. You never know. There's a matchup thing there. Williams and McDuffie are lockdown outside corners. I wouldn't put it that way yet.
I don't know. I think McDuffie is the dude. I think he's going to be a lockdown corner.
I agree.
think Williams has some way to go, but I mean, the tools are there for both of these guys to be legitimate, really good corners in the NFL.
Okay, looks like pressers are wrapping. I'm going to get over and do the Locked On Chiefs show with Matt Derrick. We'll get all of his insight from the locker room and the pressers here in a minute over on Locked On Chiefs, you guys. We'll wrap this up. Is Snead injured? He looked a bit slow today. He did look a little bit gingered turning to his left. I don't know if he was injured or just tight or something happened, but he's not on the injury report. That's all I can really tell you, Marxism. Thanks for so much for Josh Allen being better than our magical unicorn. I like that, Nikki. You know, every game is different, and I'll still take Mahomes.
Yeah, Josh is still hurt. I mean, he probably shouldn't have played this game, okay?
Yeah.
I know that was a poor decision. He probably shouldn't have been playing it, and good for him for gutting it out, but Josh is a unicorn too. Like, I'm sorry. He's a unicorn. He made a bad decision to end the game there, but he's playing.
It's like a Clydesdale rather than unicorn. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's still special. It's just a little different.
I'll see you there.
Glad you made it, Oscar. We're feeling optimistic. You know, a loss is probably possible, but I don't know that I see 2 or 3 losses. So feeling pretty good about where they are, and they can end up number 1. 1,200 yards in 3 games. It is crazy.
Insane.
He is on it. Yeah, it's a pace that I don't know anybody that could keep up with it. So seeing that is most likely inevitable, how do you feel about the Chiefs-Dolphins matchup in the playoff? I'm more than comfortable with it.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think that the Chiefs struggle with speed on defense. I truly believe that, and space. Those are the 2 things that this defense struggles with. So I'm not like comfortable, but I don't think that the defense in Miami is anything that I'm worried about. So there could be lots of fireworks in that game.
Hydra, you're alive. I'm glad
What's
to
up,
hear
Hydra?
it, buddy. Nice to
Welcome
see you back. I like it. I like this one too, Adam. I will take the Reaper over the
Yeah.
Clydesdale. Fair enough.
I'm with
Somebody's
you.
got to go to the slaughterhouse, and usually the Clydesdale loses. So I'll take it. We're going to wrap it up on that one, folks. Got to get over to the Locked On Chiefs channel. Jump over there. We'll be on in about 5 with Matt Derrick live from the stadium with all the breakdown from the locker room and the pressers. Thank you for spending your time with us. Thanks for all the support. Get liked and subbed, and we'll see you next time.